Hey everyone, this is Aaron Schwartz. I am very excited to have Reba Hatcher, who we were just joking is one of the few people in the last 5 years who I've only met in person. And now this is our first time actually seeing on video. Reba, thanks for joining today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
Yeah. I was going to try to do, here's your background, here's all the things you've accomplished, but I always feel like it's much better coming from the human. If you don't mind, would love to hear a little bit about your background, how you got to ButcherBox, and then I'll have about 400 follow-up questions.
Amazing. I love a good follow-up question. Just ask my team. But usually I guess I'm the one asking them. So I'm Reba Hatcher. I work at butcherbox.com, a high quality meat and seafood delivery company. And I serve as the chief revenue officer, which is not the role I've always had. I've actually just crossed the 8-year mark 2 weeks ago, which is like a dinosaur, I guess, in D2C world. And so it's been a really exciting ride. I started off on our logistics team and operations team, helping us get orders out of the door. And also I process mapped the entire company in like my first 2 weeks. That was like my core job. And so I've done a number of roles. I've been pretty much on every team at any given point in time, which has been a lot of fun. I spent 4 years as the chief of staff to our CEO, Mike Salguero, which was an amazing ride and an amazing job to have to learn everything about the business and to grow alongside the business. Doing that up until 2 years ago, where I stepped into the chief revenue role because we were trying to figure out how to have a department that's solely focused on revenue. So that's kind of what I do here at ButcherBox. So anything to do with the money, I help make it happen.
Um, all right, I'm going to start those follow-ups. I'm also glad I'm not on your team because you're much smarter than me. And I know that the follow-ups would be like, go deeper. And I'd say like, no, 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 I put this in a presentation. We're good now. I actually want to start on the CRO side and then maybe work backwards towards the chief of staff and the ops side. Tell me, like, when I think about a CRO, I come from the commerce tech side, right? And so I think CRO is like, okay, cool. Maybe she owns the sales org, maybe customer success, but it's like pure, hey, software sales. How does a CRO work for a subscription business? How do you interact with like heads of e-commerce or, forget titles, but
Yeah.
the rest of the org? Like, where do you start and stop and how much of it is like truly cross-functional?
Yeah, I think that's like the best part about every role that I've had at ButcherBox. It's been like the newer end of having the roles like exist in e-commerce. So when I stepped into chief of staff, it was like relatively new for just like D2C companies to have chiefs of staff back in 2019 when I stepped into the role. And the same thing as we sit here today with the chief revenue officer role, where it's like still relatively like new and people are trying to understand, yeah, that start and stop. So for me, our revenue organization, I would say the one of the core departments that we have is our revenue operations team, which is what I would say most people consider like merchandising teams. But they handle so much more of making sure that we make our overall revenue targets while also merchandising, 122 products in various ways. So ButcherBox is a subscription company. So we have our subscription box that people get and all the amazing things they can add on top. And so that team handles the merchandising across all of the places we're available, as well as having a commercial and marketing analytics team. So shared with our marketing team. Our second team is around retention and churn. So looking at the drivers of retention and churn, our loyalty program sits under there. So we launched Sizzle Society, a ButcherBox's loyalty program a year ago. Yeah, a year ago, October 1st. And it's been going super well and super exciting to bring that to life for our customers. Our third department is brand partnerships. So working with other brands. So notably right now, we're doing a lot of work with Caraway, a home cookware brand, which has been a lot of fun to mesh with brands who we just admire personally. And people always ask, like, how do we choose them? I'm like, it's usually just stuff that's honestly like in our kitchens. That's like where we started our like partnership journey, because it aligns most with how we eat. And so we like want to make sure that we're sharing that with our customers. And then we have our aspiring, like going into, brick and mortar stores side that also rolls up to me. So small but mighty one person retail team to get into retail as well.
Good luck to that person. That sounds extremely hard. So Caraway's a customer of Burritos, and I get it, right? I think if you're going to choose the partnerships,
They're a
it's always find
fantastic
the
brand.
ones. I mean, they're an incredible team, and it's obviously an amazing brand. But find somebody with the high quality that you would use in your kitchen. Obviously, makes a ton of sense. All right, I want to step back one more time to the chief of staff role. That also was like kind of must have been a vanguard role, as you mentioned, for like a D2C brand. How'd you step into that, and then walk us through like what that experience was like?
Yeah, so I think it starts, at my beginning of ButcherBox, right? So I had sat on the operations team. I led customer support for a very hot summer. I sat on the member experience team, sat on the digital product side, led analytics. Like I did a whole bunch of things. And I would say that all of that jumping around led to our CEO, Mike, and I having a conversation where he was like, hey, like, why don't we just make this a formal role where that's basically what you do? So I'm extremely lucky that, Mike and I got to co-design the role for what worked for ButcherBox at the time, and then got to grow that role over the course of 4 years. I would say that that role is way more amorphous than the chief revenue officer role. It's pretty much anything that like doesn't have a home. As a chief of staff, you help find it a home and help grow it, or in times of transition on different projects or different leaders, chief of staff steps in to help grow or change that org.
With your ops background, having seen CS, obviously having been in the finances, has it helped on the CRO side in that it's like, oh, you're more empathetic to your team? Or does it sometimes hurt where you're like, not hurt, but maybe help in a different way where you're like, actually, I can call BS because I've seen this part and like we can do better? Like how does that background really translate to your current role?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it's both sides. I think for me, yeah, it's like I can call them on it and be like, we can do that scrappier. Like you don't need the like next nifty tool to do the thing. Like you can do that right now from where you sit with the tools you have today. If we did it at, 30 million when I joined and 25 people, like we should be able to make it happen today. And, you find the way to do that. But then on the other side, yeah, it's definitely that nature of it helps us understand how the business works. But I would say that overall, ButcherBox does a pretty good job at this for all of its employees understanding the financials, because we are a bootstrapped company with no outside funding. And so we all have to deeply understand our financials because, as I tell my team, like no one else is coming to save us. So like the money we earn is the money that pays the bills. And that's just like how it works. And so I think all of our employees have deep understandings of our financials, and we're incredibly transparent. And Mike has built a great company ethos around extreme financial transparency internally.
When you think about, because you want to grow and you want to grow profitably, but obviously you have to take some bets. You're exploring retail. You've one employee. It's probably not yielding even revenue to cover that employee right now. Given that you guys are self-funded, how do you make a decision of like, hey, this is our experimental budget? Do you create some structure on that? It's up to you and Mike. You guys have taste to be like, hey, this is worthwhile? Or
Yeah, we kind of take it case by case. And I think that there are different levels of maturity, right, of understanding ROI. So like on the side of our D2C business, we have been in this business. We celebrated 10th anniversary back in September. And so for us, we have enough game tape to understand what the lifetime value is going to be of a customer. And so for some of those, if it's a bet on that side, we can say, okay, well, we're trying to leverage this. We assume it might make this much, and here's how much we can spend safely on that customer. On newer business lines that don't fit into that kind of lifetime value calculation, like when we launched, on DoorDash, or when we launched with Target online, or any of those things, that just gets a lot harder, right? So we have to be really smart about flexible resources. So like not hiring too early, because like that's a commitment. Like we're committing to a person joining our team, as opposed to like maybe you go the consulting route if you've never done that before, and you start there so that you're not, having fixed costs baked into it, but also still trying to take some of those risks and making sure you're always trying new things.
my mind is spinning, and this is by you, but I'll give you one more minute about my background because I don't think we've talked too much about it. So again, I'm Aaron Schwartz, one of the founders of Orita, but I actually started my career running a brand for about a decade. And so like I did everything from the start, right? It was like customer service, anything besides design. You don't want me designing anything. But even like our first website was like a drag and drop on Weebly at the time. We, by the way, eventually made custom watches for Weebly. So that was very exciting. And then I switched much more to the commerce tech side, and I like Orita, modify my brand, scaled very quickly, and then kind of flatlined. We sold it. Not a good financial outcome, but we definitely scaled the team very quickly. And then on the commerce tech side, I co-founded a company called Passport, does international shipping. And then I was at Loop Returns, and now obviously Orita doing like AI customer segmentation. The thing that is interesting and like is resonating very much about how you guys have bootstrapped is we were able to raise money out the gates for Rita, and we have amazing investors, right? Like Sugar Capital, Javelin Venture Partners, like a bunch. And right now we are officially scaling a lot with a team that is smaller than the team we had 8 months ago. And I don't think I ever fully appreciated how great it is to like really feel the like pain, and really not feel the pain, like figure out the learnings and figure out the opportunity before you go hire that person. I think so many people think about hiring ahead. It's like, hey, we got to plan for capacity. And I very much shifted my opinion to like, we actually need to solve and make sure that this is a real problem before we go scale. It sounds like that is just like embedded in what you guys do.
Yeah. I think you have to. I think that, we build that and cultivate that day over day as an executive team, Mike as a leader. But ultimately, like that is the only option, right? Like we can't oversize that way because we wanna build a brand that's 100-year-old brand. And we can't get there if we hire 25 people for something that we have no clue what it's going to hold. Because you also don't know what the next thing is that's going to take off. And I think that leaves us more open to opportunities because we can like try enough things out without like, oh, we're not committed. So like try it out, see how it goes, dedicate some of your time to it and kind of put your best foot forward.
I think one of the things that is remarkable from the outside is you guys have been able to scale, but from everything, and again, from the outside, I can tell is like the values still stay very strong and obviously like responsibly sourcing meat and then some. How do you guys keep kind of the value alignment as you scale and you build people in? Is it part of the interview process? Is it something that's hammered every day? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly intentional thing to do. I think that, our like chief people officer does an amazing job at like building that into, every form of cadence of communication with our customers and our employees, right? So it's like making sure that, at every all hands meeting, we're talking about our values. But I think it also looks like being tested. So we have 5 core values: humility, authenticity, accountability, relentless improvement, and customer obsession. I won't quiz you back on those, but if you remember them, I'll send you an extra discount code. Say that what is amazing about those is that, you have to change in order to stay the same when it comes to values and scaling your business. Because writing those down we wrote them officially down, I think in 2017, and we define those, and that looks very different than it looks today. In order to have those same 5 values, you can't assume that accountability is going to be the same with 25 people sitting in a very cramped office as it's going to be to 200 people in a distributed workforce across the country. Like that's unrealistic. And I think too many places expect that.
I have humility, authenticity, customer obsession, accountability, and I missed one and I'm very frustrated.
Relentless improvement.
Thank you. I love that one. Thanks. Sorry. I actually am taking notes and I don't need a discount. My feeling is friends don't ask friends for discounts for consumer brands. I just think
That's
it's like, it's a hard business. So thank you. I already think I get free chicken for a year. No, free chicken for a lifetime or beef for a year if I sign up. So I I may or may not have a message out to my wife about this. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm officially a prospect right now. Um, all right, I want to go more tactically because you kind of mentioned retention in passing, and like that is obviously for any subscription business, that is a thing. Um, Maybe we can start high level and then go more deep. Walk me through how you think about like trust and loyalty with customers, and actually like somebody signed up, like what is it to retain them? What are some of the like lessons you guys have learned that you can share that would be useful for other subscription businesses?
Yeah. Yeah, I just had a new employee join our team, and he asked me the thing that I like about ButcherBox the most as a customer, even if I didn't work here. And I think it gets to this answer here where I think it's doing our job. Quite frankly, I think a lot of brands want like the like flashy, like how do you like retain? It's like, are you doing your core job to be done for your customer? Does the box of meat get there and it's still frozen and people can put it in their freezer? Because that does take a lot of time, and I don't think that like brands count that enough. Like that is our core job. Everything else is like a nice to have, and I think that's how we have earned trust is 10 years of doing that, finding out ways. We are on probably like physical box iteration 95 to 1,000 at this point. Like we are constantly iterating the way the box feels, the packaging, like what we're putting on it, what we're talking about. And that is our core job. We're looking at our products, the quality level, and there are all these other retention levers, right? But making sure that your product is one that I would say like I have the easiest job, because I think it's an easy to sell product because it's a great product. And a lot of products I don't think can actually say that. I think they like go to the bells and whistles first and not to like, am I selling an amazing product? Our product tastes great. It shows up great. It performs great. We're always changing it. We're adding new ones. And so I think that's like our core retention lever when it comes down to it. And then when we look at kind of like the, nitty gritty journey beyond like getting you the box, it's recognizing like what are the core issues that your customers are having, right? So one of the core issues that our customers have is they're not used to buying frozen. So even if we get them over the hurdle of buying frozen, which like 40% of consumers may never buy like meat and seafood frozen, like online direct to consumer, because they're like, This is just not the way people shopped, right? And that's going to take a lot of change over probably the next 100 years, quite honestly. And when they get the box, if they did get over that hurdle, they're like, oh, they're not used to pulling something out of the freezer. So our CEO calls it, they turn it into the savings account. So they like leave it in the like freezer. They're not pulling it out. And then, there's this like 4 p.m. issue that customers have. I think it's like 70% of people do not know what they're making for dinner at 4 o'clock. So you add those two things together. People like aren't used to shopping frozen. They aren't used to knowing what to cook for dinner at 4 o'clock. And now by the time they get home, they're like, I'm not pulling this thing out of the freezer. I'm going back to the grocery store. So we have to help them through that journey of how to like create new habits around this product. And so I would say that that's where we spend a lot of our time.
That's fascinating. It was literally going through my mind because we definitely have some frozen meat. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, every time we had friends over last night and you've got to think about it. It is absolutely one of those things where it's like my brother-in-law, like it's a habit. He plans ahead. And so I get it. And that's why he loves it. Okay. I want to actually like kind of stay on this, but diverge slightly. Tell me about Target and tell me about the like one-time purchase work you're doing. Is it about like getting people to trust the brand, love the brand, and then in spirit bring them towards being a subscriber and then like help them habitually be like, oh, not just I have meat, but I have ButcherBox, therefore I want it, therefore I will update my habits. Are those tied together in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah. So I think for us, I think this goes back to the like trying new things aspect of like, yes, in the long term, it would be great that this is like a complete flywheel where they buy on Target and they like find out that they like really like ButcherBox and it, builds that brand trust because they already trust Target as a place to go to, and then they're buying ButcherBox. But I think kind of at the first stage, which is where I would put us, like we're new to the platform in the last 8 months. So launching on that platform for us is more of like, I use this phrase internally a lot, and our PR person is probably like, okay, I don't know if that's ready for time. But like, it's like Ariel, you want to be where the people are, right? Like she wants to be where the people are. And people are shopping on Target.com. They're going to grocery stores. They're looking like, and so you have to meet the consumer where they are. And again, that goes back to like core job. We sell meat and seafood, and currently we sell it only online on butcherbox.com for the most part. And the future of ButcherBox is to like continuously expand selling meat and seafood wherever people are and meeting our customers where they want to be because tons of people have a need for high quality meat and seafood. So that's kind of how we look at that platform. And then the same with like DoorDash/Dashmart. I think that one is also interesting because, it gets us to customers' houses in 20 minutes. And it gets past that 4 p.m. problem of like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. And now it's coming to you in 20 minutes. So that's also exciting.
I actually don't know much about that product. Can you walk through it for a little bit?
Yeah. So DoorDash launched Dashmart. Oh, I actually don't know when they launched it. But anyway, Dashmart is their kind of owned store. So imagine like their own version of like CVS, and they're fulfilling it themselves. And it's quick delivery and it gets to your house. I think the promise is in under 30 minutes in all of the areas that they're in. And so they buy from ButcherBox and then they can sell it to consumers. And so it's this amazing way to get right to consumers. But for us, when we look at all of these marketplaces, it's more just like distribution and like where are people already looking and where might they be looking, and just trying to be there and meet people, even if it's not the like largest revenue stream, it's getting the name out there and meeting people where they're at.
But so heard on the distribution side, in terms of the like internal tooling, are you the type of company that's building everything custom? Is there a stack that you use that you kind of tout that are useful for other subscription businesses or otherwise?
Yeah, I would say we're like in between. We love a custom situation over here, and I think some of that comes from our history of going back to 2015 when ButcherBox launched. ButcherBox launched in 2015 to basically get over this idea that people could get grass-fed beef to their door. And in building that, our CEO was building a hobby business. And so in that hobby business, he wasn't like, well, we need the like finest tech stack. It was launched on WordPress, which is like is a blogging platform and not where people think we were. But we were there for 7 years. And so we were there a long time. And so for us, we like had to come up with things very custom because they're also like, there wasn't this nature of everyone shopping for a custom box of meat online. Whereas now there are, many companies that do either our business or do it very similarly in other lanes. And there's a lot that is custom about us that we're always trying to look for tools now that we see the ecosystem changing to meet us where we might have built a tool before. Oh, we could actually swap that out for a tool that now does exist on the market because enough people are doing these kinds of things. And so we're a Shopify house. We use Klaviyo. We use Postscript. We use Segment. Yeah, so we use lots of like great, amazing tools that help us. And also we'll build something custom when we need to if we think that the market hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah, understood. And then in terms of like Sizzle Society, is that the type of thing that's like custom built internally? Because it's like so
It's a
bespoke.
combination. So right now we use Voucherify as our kind of back end tooling system for our loyalty program. But for the most part, yeah, like the actual program itself is relatively custom. And so it goes through a number of different things that need to make it work.
Can you actually go into it for a minute? Because it's not your run of the mill loyalty program. I'd love to hear what differentiates it and also how you figured out what you wanted to do with it.
Yeah. Sizzle Society is one of my favorite things at ButcherBox because it's something that we like got to build exactly like what we thought the customers wanted. And I've been on the road now for, I think we did 9 different cities to go talk to our top customers, and hearing their reactions like in our first year of loyalty was pretty incredible. It like feels like we truly like hit the mark. And I feel like it's not always that way. You don't always hit the mark on the first year. Actually, most of the time you don't. And so it is gratifying to have that. So Sizzle Society is comprised of 3 core components. So our tiers within Sizzle Society are sous chef, head chef, and executive chef, obviously. And those are based on the amount of orders that someone places. The second part is points. The points are based on how much people spend. And then the third part is the perks that we offer our customers. I think that for ButcherBox, when we went out to create a loyalty program, one, we listen a ton to our customers. We have, I think, one of the most amazing voice of the customer programs. I give Beth, our member insights lead, a shout out every time I talk about anything to do with our members, because I think she does a fantastic job of, we have delivery satisfaction that runs for every single delivery we send out. We have member satisfaction. We have our MPS. We do video logs with like groups of customers. We do diary logs of what they're eating, like all of these amazing things to like piece together what we need to do next. And so our loyalty program sits on top of all of this amazing data that we had gathered by that point for 8.5 years on our customers and what they wanted. One perk that I would say is an interesting one is that, so you kind of mentioned the 4 life offers and the 4 a year offers. So we got famous on bacon for life. So back when people signed up, you could get like bacon for life. So you get bacon in every single box. That's an amazing perk that we let people sign up with. And after like 8 years of being a member, you might not want bacon in every single box. You might want something else. And we heard that a lot from customers, and we never really figured out what that would look like. So we made it a perk of our top tier. So loyalty also gives a home to all of these great ideas for us to like figure out how to like launch amazing new perks to our customers. And so I think it's this like great combination of the tiers, points, and perks, but also just continuously listening and figuring out how to give that the right space.
You have some like voice of the customer video with somebody who's got a second freezer that's only for free bacon.
Absolutely. We have so many people who are like, and then they get so many of them over time, right? Because you can get free bacon for life. You can get, a free offer when you sign up, but you can also buy them at Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So if you think about our most loyal members over 10 years can have accumulated, 15 different offers. And so there's this amazing opportunity to give them flexibility and choice. So we allow them to pause that offer. All of those things, I think, just go to listening to them.
You've said a lot already, and I still have more questions, so we're going to keep going. But I do want to reflect for a second, like, because I wrote it and I circled it very big, is like, do our job, right? Is something that obviously you said. It's like, I think people forget somebody's coming to you, they're paying you, or they're signing up for free, whatever it is, whether it's a brand or a tech company or a nonprofit or a school. It's just like, there's all the other stuff you can do, but like, do the job. The second thing is just getting the voice of the customer, because I was going to ask you specifically about your packaging, and you said you're on version 95, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
I love how you kind of walk through all the things that Beth does. I think, again, that is one of those things that is missed. You do a post-purchase survey, but a survey tells you one thing, and then like the video conversations tell you another. And like actually
Show us
then,
your homes. Like, we want to see what people are cooking. We're on the road and talking to top customers. So we're hearing from that. Like, we're hearing all sorts of things and putting that together because we have so much to offer. And I think, in those 2 points for us, what comes to mind is this, like, we treat it with an extreme gravitas that people choose us to feed themselves. Like, they're choosing us to like buy something online and like feed themselves. And like we have to take that ourselves too seriously, but we take the business that we do for them very seriously. And I think that involves just staying the course and making sure you're always upping your game.
No, I love it. I mean, I think even the fact that you mentioned you've been on the road meeting with customers, again, like trying to abstract away from you because you obviously know what you're doing, but you're getting started as a brand or a subscription business or whatever. It's not, oh, we have a person who does this. It is like, how do you bring voice of the customer throughout your org? For us, it's how do we get our engineers meeting with partners? Last week, one of our biggest agency partners took over our entire all staff meeting, right, for an hour. And we're just pegging him with questions like, what are we bad at? What can we do better? How do we make, and I think it is, anyway, it's just paramount across any size company for everybody to actually hear that. So thank you. I appreciate you kind of walking in a little in depth there. Okay. I want to go a little bit more into retention because you guys are very, very good at that. And I don't just mean the subscription side, obviously, but walk us through like how you think about personalizing or making sure that the content that an individual gets is actually relevant for them.
Yeah, I think personalizing is I think the precipice of like where personalizing is changing so much with that word, that two-letter word that no one can stop saying. And so I think that right now we're in this interesting space where it's like, you can talk about like agentic shopping and like that is an important component to like have our eye on in the future. But from where we sit today, and I think for any brand trying to get into it, the core thing that I always go to is like, look at where you are today. Like AI doesn't have to mean automated. Personalization doesn't have to mean automated. It means personalized, which can mean manual. And we have done that. And we do that at a $500 million business. So I think that it's important for brands to think about that. And so for us, one of the things that we just launched about a month ago is personalization of our deals. So for ButcherBox, deals are anything that's added on top of the core subscription box. It comprises of about a sixth of our revenue. So it's a pretty good side hustle of like $100 million. So it's pretty nifty. It's a lot of fun. We get to sell things, weekly. We probably do 3 different changeovers of the deals that we offer. And so we've been on this long road of having done this. We've built that business over time. And when we talk to consumers, they want to see stuff in their inbox that's exciting and new, but we also know a lot about what they've bought, right? And that's the big difference we have from a grocery store. Grocery store's data is not pieced together perfectly in a way that they like know, like that's just like they're getting there with like app purchases, but like when it comes to what our like amazing thing that we can do for customers, it really is around like personalization. So we launched personalization in our deals email. So now the top 5 things that are shown are the things that we can best assess that the customer would want based on previous history. And that can sound very rudimentary, I think, to some brands, but that is so important to like start somewhere, right? Not to get lost in the sea of like, there's all of these things you could be doing. It's like, start where you like we know how to check that too, right? So like we know how to look at the recommendations that are coming out of some of these and then be able to check like, is it doing the right thing? And I think that's why we started where we're already doing really well so that we can build upon that and then move to something that's, a little bit more difficult. And we did a similar version in our cancel flow where right now we offer different things based on who that customer is.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I think the comment about like even having 5 things that are relevant, as brands have a massive catalog or new products launching all the time, you don't have to tell the full story, but just saying like, look, the math says like, this is likely to be useful to you. Do you guys have a big internal data science team? What, like, do you use external tools? Like, yeah, how do you, I'm not trying to ask for the secret sauce, but like when you get into the personalization, like, how do you kind of go a level deeper on that?
Yeah, so we have a very large analytics team and we have a very small data science team. And so we have 2 data scientists, technically. And like maybe you would include one other person who's like, I would say straddles the like data science and analytics side. But like that's our capability. And that's why I do believe all brands can be doing more because it's not like we only have 200 employees total, like as a company. And so then you add in the fact of like, okay, you have these data scientists, like how do you deploy them to what is going to be the highest leverage point? So like you said, retention is the big name of the game for a subscription brand. And so our cancel flow is a big part of that. So that was the first thing we went after. Then it was like, great, deals is a sixth of our revenue. That's a big thing to go after. We also know a lot about it. So like we can test if it's going the right way. Great. Those are 2 great things to start with. And I think that has allowed us to kind of keep that nimble. I think we'll grow that side of our business and, figure out what we want to do as we kind of get further in depth with it. But it's been a really fun, I would say it's been probably 7 months in earnest that we've been doing most of this personalization and AI work.
One of the things that's hard for a business with a ton of data is like you have a ton of data, which means you could do anything, right? And it's figuring out where to
Correct.
prioritize,
So much
where
data.
not to. And what I'm hearing from you is obviously you guys have chosen to prioritize at first the cancel flow, right? Figure out like, are they canceling because we screwed up, or is there something we could do to keep them as a customer? If not, obviously let them go, right? Hopefully they'll come back. When you think about building data or like a data team internally, and to your point, it's like still very small, does it end up being a shared service and everybody's debating about like, hey, here's the thing to do. And then as an org, you're like, look, we're going to let a lot of fires burn, but we're hyper focused here. Or how across kind of like all the execs who have all these ideas around data do actually end up being able to prioritize those?
Yeah, I think it definitely starts at the top. Like our executive team is incredibly aligned around where to use specifically AI and where we can like go the next mile. Because I do think that, yeah, no matter what your structure is, I think that the executive team has to really opine on it because of that nature of like you have so much data, you can go in so many places. Even if you have a large data science team, like you really need to be very sure about the things so that everyone's bought into like how this should work and what it looks like. And so our executive team went through a long list of like, we essentially made between the commercial and finance analytics team, we went through like 100-line list of all the things we could do in retention and churn and what the ROI would be, where do we think is the most useful, and then we stack ranked them. And then we were like, okay, great, these are the two we want to do. And this is how we like build them in and invest on them.
It's very cool. One of the things we experience, literally seeing this, is our enterprise brands will have 2 or 3 billion data points in the flow through Klaviyo, right? So it's like, it's emails, but it's also returns data, CRM data, it's everything. And in spirit, they could go model that out, but like that's not where like the data team should be. It should be like on your merchandising, on your inventory, on your demand planning, on things that are like bespoke to the brand. It is definitely one of those things where there's unlimited opportunity, but it sounds like you guys have really narrowed in on how to prioritize, which I think candidly is like the hardest part. So like, good for you. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
we're trying. And like, who know, like I always tell the team, who knows if those are like the right things?
Yeah.
Really, it's more about, focus has been a real objective of our overall company operating this year.
Look, if I go back to our shared 5 values, no, I think being alignment creates speed. And there are kind of 2 different thoughts I have about this. First of all, it's like it's speed also to figure out we're on the wrong answer. Like everybody rolling in the same direction will still get you to the wrong destination faster, which means you can kind of retract. The second one is like, if you have 50 things you could do and you choose 4, they don't have to be 1 through 4. If they're like 4 of the top 10, that's good
Yeah.
enough, right? It's like better to make the decision instead of trying to be precise. I'm like, oh, we absolutely have to do the highest leverage. It's like, there's a lot of high leverage work to be done. All right, I'm going to talk to you about AI. I'm sorry. I just
No,
have
yeah,
to.
it's okay.
Like, you are one of the dream customers for every tech company out there, right? You guys have the ability to go explore all the different areas where AI is impactful. And most of it is not. And most of it still comes down to like, what is the actual job to be done? Does AI matter? Going back to your comment before, it's like personalization is cool, but you could also like hand personalize, and that is maybe more useful than using a machine to do it poorly. How do you guys as a company think about AI? Where are you finding it actually high leverage, whether it's internal tooling or external analyses? Where are you finding it not yet useful?
Yeah, I think, internally, what's been great is that we have a task force that's also working on how we build our long-term AI stance, as well as like, what are the things we can be doing in the short term? Because I think that you have to play at both ends of that spectrum just to like keep up and understand where it needs to go. I think the short term will inform some of the long term, and whether it's like workflows that people are following or like, how are you like doing this analysis? And like, we launched a bunch of genies via Databricks. So they're like basically like MCPs essentially that sit there and you can just like go and query the commercial genie, and it like is only looking at all of the revenue data, and you can go in there. And that's an amazing use case of like, great, that's like probably 45 more questions that the analytics team isn't getting this week. It's a dashboard you don't need to like fully productionalize because someone just needed an answer for today. It's one less analyst having to answer that thing. And so I think that that is incredibly important for your internal tools. And then when we think about kind of where things can go and what isn't working, I would say enterprise level is always tough. So I think that like actually at the smaller level, that is where I think AI can be even more helpful in its current state today, because I think, for us, we run a relatively complicated business that has a lot of like nuance. And so we have to be, whenever we jump into an AI based project, we have to be willing to dedicate a lot of human time. Our leader of data science and data engineering always says, like, you have to like have like X amount of time in order to like make this AI thing happen, because it needs training and help and lots of hands-on nature. So when we did our AI cancel flow, we had our retention and churn program manager and both of our data scientists in there every day tweaking it, because it does still take humans. And I think companies don't build that in. So they're like, oh, you just like plug it in. It's like at $550 million, it's not just, you're not just plugging it in. Like, what does that even mean? Like, how would that even be possible? Like, it needs help, and it can only train on how great your data is. And we're lucky to have, a really clean database. So that help, or a really clean data lake, not necessarily our database, but that helps a ton. But you still need human interaction. And I think that's where companies are missing the mark at talking about that.
I love it. I also think even your comment about like, we're lucky to have the clean data lake. You guys aren't lucky. You've clearly thought deeply about, hey, how do we drive the best customer experience? It's like get feedback, see the data, understand what people aren't telling us. And like, if you don't do the work up front to get the data in the right place, it limits you from doing so much more. Is there anything you, again, like you yourself personally, are really excited about learning right now? Like, again, you've touched every bit of the
Yeah.
business. Is it like, oh, I want to get deeper and meet more CROs and figure out like how to scale? Is it more of the multi-channel partnerships? Yeah. Where does your
Yeah.
mind go?
Yeah, I think, meeting other CROs, I'm always up to do. There are not enough of us on the D2C side. So anyone who handles that kind of world or anything that I've talked about, I'm always down to meet. I would also say that, I'm really interested in how, to go back to AI, how AI will help people kind of get to dinner faster. That was one of our goals for our new products this year, was to get people to dinner faster in all of the products that we launched, or get more quality into products that we already had. And so I think that AI can really accelerate some of the work. And I was just telling Krisha, who helps out with this lovely podcast, about this beforehand. I use AI pretty much every night I tell it what's in my fridge. And then I'm like, give me something I can make in 20 minutes or less. It reduces a ton of waste that I have in my fridge. It like makes my dinner easier. And so I think that getting there, we have ideas around like, what appliances would that look like in the future? So I think there's this whole amazing component of like what we can do to help customers get to dinner faster. And then hopefully, with higher quality products alongside.
I love it. Well, a good friend, Millie from business school, who then like went to Capital One and did all sorts of crazy stuff, started a company, and I'm blanking on the name, which was take a photo of the fridge. But this was a decade ago, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, here's everything that you have in the pantry, and like, what are the opportunities? And here are my dietary concerns, or I'm vegetarian, whatever it is. I love that you're doing that personally. And I have no doubt that like the personal learnings you have literally will translate in helping your customers get to dinner faster. That's very cool. All right. I've got a couple more questions for you.
Yeah.
One is just like more kind of like to my heart and like where Orita plays. Say I'm a subscriber and I'm a subscriber to Klaviyo and Postscript, right? Amazing tools like email, SMS, fine. And think about other channels as well. How do you decide, like you talked about that personalization? Is it personalized for me by channel? Are you trying to think about that on the content and the timing side? Or how do you think about my kind of like end-to-end journey and not just kind of channel by channel journey?
Yeah, the end-to-end journey is mostly what we try to focus on, right? Because where someone is in their ButcherBox journey really matters to what they need to hear about. In the first 90 days, you're, like I said, forming those habits. In the middle of your journey, you're like, trying to optimize your box. And if you're someone who we think is about to leave, like there are different things we should be like helping you through and figuring out your issue. And so deciding what people get by channel gets, intricately broken down by where they are in that journey. I would say, we were later to the SMS game than people probably would assume we are. So I'll just throw that out there, that we are still very much learning. I don't think we've in earnest launched until like maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. And now we're at like 50% of our customers are subscribed to SMS, which is great. But that took a lot of work. So we are really just trying to get to like the engagement on platform, and then deciding like, yeah, what do people want to hear by different channels? And like, so one of the big changes we made this year in regards to like actually not allowing a certain channel really in on one of the tools that we use. So we have flash sales that we do anywhere from 1 to 2 times a week to, once every other week. And those flash sales do really well on SMS. And we learn that over time that like at 6 o'clock, like people are like ready, they're on their phone, they'll like add the thing, and doing it via email like doesn't really work as well because of the nature of like checking your email notifications. And so right now we have some of them only be SMS only, which is great because then you're really leveraging it for the power of what SMS is and then talking to those customers in the way that they want, but also balancing out that need of like your customers kind of want different things. So we're still figuring it out, but I think trialing out some things like SMS only sales.
It's very cool. It's kind of meeting your customers where they're at. We talk a lot about how, and again, I ran a brand where every email went to every customer. So I'm like the worst email marketer of all time, but I was like, this is great content. People will love it.
Yeah.
But the comment I have, or like the discussion I have with almost every one of our customers is like, stop being the marketer who talks when you want to talk and you have something to say, and like start talking when the customer is listening. When they're listening, then get them. And so your point about, hey, this is the right way to do the flash sale on SMS at this time, I think is wonderful. Like it shows you guys actually are empathetic to what the customer wants, not just, we've got something cool, let's go blast it out everywhere.
Yeah. And I say we're not our customers, right? Like I am a subscriber to ButcherBox, but I am not the ButcherBox customer. And we all have to remember that, especially working on this brand, right? Like we need to listen to them, not to what we think they may want. That's why we have incredible insights to guide most of the things we want to do with a little bit of gut.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. 3 more quick ones. What are you most excited about for the next phase of ButcherBox? I kind of asked about you and your personal learning, but kind of where's the company going? What are you most excited to see?
I am most excited to see ButcherBox. I think it really is like getting members to dinner faster, like whatever that looks like, whether it's like offering ButcherBox in different places, whether it's offering different products under the ButcherBox line, where it's like continuing to upgrade those things. Because those are things our customers love about us. And they love the variety that we offer. It's our highest score in our member satisfaction and has been for pretty much forever. And it stays high. And so I want to keep doing the things that like make us a like great product and service for our customers. And I think we have so much room to grow in helping people kind of get dinner on the table, and continuously learning around that. So I think I think that truly is what I am excited for.
Great. Thank you. All right. You're on the clock. We got a month until BFCM. Any sage advice for the random brand person who's listening or the subscriber? Yeah. What's kind of most of your mind?
I didn't realize I was such a movie quote person. I don't even watch that many movies, but the quote I would use is Stanley Tucci's character in Devil Wears Prada when Miranda Priestley is coming back and he says, "Gird your loins." Like that is how I feel every Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's just like, you just gotta like hold down the fort because these companies come out and, excuse me if Orita also came out with they're like, these are the predictions for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I'm like, okay, because anyone knows? Like, whatever.
Nobody knows.
Like Black Friday, Cyber Monday is like creeping into like October. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. Thanksgiving's later this year, but yet Black Friday, Cyber Monday is like somehow a month earlier. And so I feel like it's just a matter of like really trying to like hold on. And I mean that with like the values that you have, like don't let them slip during that time. The like value promise that you have to your customers, the service, especially if you're selling food in the mail, it's also a tough time to get things through distribution. So just holding on to all of the things that like make you a great product and service during this time is exactly what we need to be doing here or at any other D2C brand.
I love it. I love Devil Wears Prada. So thank you for bringing this up. I will go to bat for that movie all day.
Are we ready for number 2? I'm so excited.
I know. I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm ready. I will be there.
I know it could be interesting, but I'm excited.
We're in. All right, cool. Well, that's 2 votes for being in on Devil Wears Prada and Devil Wears Prada 2. All right, last question. Where can we find you? Where can we learn more about ButcherBox, please?
Yeah, if you want to find high quality meat and seafood, you can find us on butcherbox.com and exclusive code REBAH20 will get you $20 off every box, which is technically my friends and family code. Don't even know if I'm allowed to do that, but here we are. That's my friends and family code for everyone. And then if you want to find me and you want to talk about, if you want to geek out about D2C brands, I'm Reba Hatcher on LinkedIn.
Reba, thank you. I am going to call you separately so we can talk about the logistics side of the house because that is kind of my background. And now I get to do marketing, which is so easy because you don't ruin Christmas with a marketing issue.
Correct.
You do when the box doesn't show up. So
you do.
Reba, thank you. You guys are like absolutely A plus, amazing company. And it's been such a delight spending more time with you. I have 3 pages of notes, so I feel
Amazing.
grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love talking about ButcherBox. So thank you for having me.
All right, Reba. Talk soon.
Alrighty, bye.